Bundy's Garage, John Bundy here. Hey, listen, today I'm going to show you how to check out a engine if you're going to buy a pre-owned vehicle, a used car. There's a couple things you need to look at. I've seen a bunch of videos out there on YouTube that talk about looking at the interior of the vehicle, and that's great and everything, and you should make sure you do that as well. Make sure the frame's straight, the doors lock, interior buttons work, the radio knobs work. That's great to do, and I'm not putting that down at all. But what you really need to do is check out the fluids in the vehicle. I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but you also need to smell the fluids. I'm a big smell guy. I smell everything. I can walk into a house and pretty much tell you what's being cooked. But that is a great way to tell how condition of the vehicle has been. One thing you want to look at, I'll start here with the battery, is the condition of the battery cables. Make sure that there's not too much corrosion. There's a little bit of corrosion. It's to be expected. That can be cleaned off, but I've seen these corroded to the point of almost falling apart. Same here. On your check, when you're doing this, when you check the battery out, go ahead and see if there's a sticker placed on it. This will be the manufacturing date of the sticker, because you can see right here there's an 1111, so it's November of 2011. So the battery is fairly new. Not all of them are going to have this, I should say, but the majority of them will. So if you're lucky enough to find it, also on the top of the batteries, sometimes when they're purchased, they'll pop out when it was sold, so you can also check there. Yeah, this one has too much corrosion to see on top of there. Check the condition of the spark plugs. Go ahead and pull that off. Just look at the end. Make sure it's not burned or blackened at all. Should be a nice copper color or silver color, which this one appears to be. And then another main one. Go ahead and check the engine oil cap, I should say. And like I said, I know it sounds weird, but go ahead and smell it. And it should smell like engine oil. If it smells burned at all, there's something going on the inside of the engine. It's not a good sign. It's just a really quick way to tell if there's more problems on the inside. If it smells burned, it could be valves, it could be pistons, it could be a bunch of stuff. But like I said, if you smell it and it smells like engine oil, it's better off than if it smells burnt. Next thing you want to do is check the transmission as well. And right here I'm pulling transmission dipstick. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Let's see if I can get it into focus. The transmission fluid should be red. A nice deep red. And it's really hard to tell and see it on this dipstick. Alright, I grabbed a piece of paper here. The reason for that is it's really hard to see the color of this ATF on this dipstick. So if you go ahead and put it, a white piece of paper would be better. But if you go ahead and put that on there, you're going to be able to see the color of the fluid. Now this is a little bit dark. It should be a little bit brighter than this, so it looks like this transmission fluid has not been changed in a while. Let's see if I can get that focused. But you guys can see that. It's a little darker than it needs to be. It should be a little bit more red. But it does smell fine. It doesn't smell burnt. If it smelled burnt, it could be a torque converter. If it was a manual, it could be a clutch going out. It doesn't look bad. It just needs to be changed. So these are just quick things that you guys can check if you're looking at a used car. You don't have time to take it to a mechanic. Next we move on to the radiator cap. Go ahead and take this off. Look at the color of the fluid. There's two major fluids out there. There's a red one and a green one. If those two mix, you run into problems with rust. Red and green do not mix. So don't try it, don't do it. I've seen some nasty results from it. Go ahead and take a look at the radiator cap. This should be all working. This seal right here should be in good condition. It shouldn't be breaking apart. This spring also should be intact. And if this radiator cap, I've seen it before, where a bad radiator cap causes overheating problems. It's really weird and really strange, but basically this engine and how the radiator works is a big pressure cooker. So if this radiator cap is not holding pressure, then you're going to run into some weird, strange problems like overheating, and you're also going to be losing fluid from here as well. So take a look. Also look around the radiator cap, make sure that it's dry around here. You know, if you see markings of old radiator fluid, obviously it means it's been leaking out. And if it's been mixed, there'll also be some, like, it'll look like corrosion or white stuff that builds up around the radiator cap on the inside. So keep an eye out for that as well. Another thing, check the reservoir bottle. There should be a marking on the side. Let's see if you guys can see that. There's one of them. Lower one is the low marking. The upper one is the high marking. If you look down in there, sorry you can't see it, but if you look down there, shine a flashlight down there, make sure that the level is between the high and the low marking. If the engine's cold, obviously it should be at the low. If it's hot, it should be at the high, or, you know, somewhere in the middle. Also, this is also a good place to see if there's any cross-contamination between the red and the green. So go ahead and open that up, check that out real quick. Also, you can smell it again. Should smell like antifreeze. And another quick thing is when you do the dipstick, if you smell or you think that there's fuel in the oil, you should be able to smell gas in there. A quick way to check that as well is if you take a lighter and you put a lighter to the end of the dipstick. If it catches on fire, then you know there's gas in there. So keep that in mind as well. Brake fluid, you want to check that as well. Make sure that it's full. You know, there's no weird colors. I've seen algae grow in these things. It turns out green. That's an indication that the fluid has never ever been changed. But you know, go ahead and smell the cap, and should smell like brake fluid. If you don't know what any of these fluids smell like, whether it be transmission fluid, brake fluid, radiator fluid, go ahead and, you know, go to an auto parts store and just take a whiff of what oil or antifreeze smells like. Like I said, it sounds kind of weird, but it does work. Check the condition of the hoses. You want these things to be fairly stiff, not too spongy. And then moving to the air filter, go ahead and pop that thing open. I've seen it where rats have built nests in here because people don't take a look at the air filter. This side looks good. Go ahead and flip it over, but this side not so much. The thing to remember on this is, as far as a rule of thumb, you should be able to hold this up to the sun and see some sunlight coming through. But if you can't, then it's time to change this. This one should obviously be changed. So I'm holding it to the sun right now, and I can't see anything. So go ahead and change it out. And you know, when you're looking at this stuff, keep in mind that someone that upkeeps this car. I mean, if these items are taken care of, then there's some, you know, pride in ownership. But if this stuff is like really, really bad, then obviously they had their minds on other things. But this engine isn't too bad. Just needs a little bit of TLC, and it should be good to go. But yeah, these things are simple, quick checks that you guys can do if you're looking at a used vehicle. Like I said earlier, there's videos out there that focus on the inside of the car. You know, that the frame's straight, that all the buttons work, the seats work. Like I said, you should do that as well. But go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the engine, because that's the heart and soul of the vehicle. And you don't want to pick up a used car and you didn't check this or didn't check that, and you know, 10 miles down the road it's breaking down on you. So just a little bit extra time. Smell the fluids. I know it sounds weird, but go ahead and smell them, and make sure they don't smell burnt or funky or anything like that. And there it is. There's my quick tip for the day. All right, guys. Also, while you're inspecting the oil cap, a good thing to do is start the engine and see how much blow-by is coming out of the oil cap. If there's a lot of air getting pushed out of there or white smoke, there is something seriously wrong with the insides of the engine, internally inside the engine. A little bit of back pressure is good, but if there's a whole lot, then the rings are worn on the pistons. So avoid that vehicle altogether. Also, if you can get the VIN number from the owner and do a Carfax check on that, it's not always 100% sure and 100% right, but it'll give you a good feel for what's going on with the vehicle. So go to Carfax.com. I think you have to pay, I think it's less than $20 to run a report, but it's definitely worth it if you're going to invest, $4,000 or $5,000 into a vehicle to see the history on it. Also, while you're there, fire up the engine, make sure there's no check engine light, and put your hand on the engine or listen to the engine, see if there's any awkward sounds, any screeching, squealing, high-pitched noises. If anything seems out of the ordinary, it probably is. And if there's a check engine light that comes on, avoid it altogether. Also, a good thing to remember is to ask for a smog check from the previous owner, because this could lead into a lot of different problems if you don't have a smog certificate and you try to register the vehicle. So keep that in mind as well. Always ask for a smog check, a smog certificate. And once you have that, you can go to the DMV, get the car registered. And then if it's a salvage title, there's a whole other list of things that could go wrong. Not wrong, but list of other things that need to be obtained, I should say, if it is a salvage title. I'll cover that in another video. But keep that in mind, all right? Check the blow-by on the oil cap. Fire it up. Listen for any awkward sounds. Check for check engine light. And ask the previous owner for a smog certificate. All right, guys. Hope this helped you. As always, please subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys soon.